Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. It's a feeling now. Get 'em high, get 'em low, 'cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got, 'cause we're ready.
Welcome to the Piffles podcast, your Saskatchewan Roughriders fan podcast. Thanks for joining us here this week as we're putting the fine in Combine. I couldn't think of a better title. There's nothing really fun that rhymes with Combine, so that's what we're stuck with.
We're off to a solid start.
Mine.
Unless Greg changes it post recording, then this goes all for naught, and that's pretty much.
I gotta leave it now. I gotta leave it now. It's in there.
Well, Piffles podcast, your Saskatchewan Roughriders fan podcast. Thanks for listening on your favorite podcast platform, watching on YouTube, watching on SaskTel Max TV on demand. Thank you very much. The show is brought to you by Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sask Drive in Regina, and also proud to be sponsored by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Regina Realty, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's Tactical Laser Tag Experience, and Bigfoot Vodka. The Combine. It was actually, I didn't know what to expect going in terms of how much I would enjoy it. Turns out I actually, as kind of boring as it possibly can be, watching guys run 40 after 40 after 40, I actually had a really good time. And we're going to discuss that coming up in just a minute. But before then, give us a follow on all the social medias. You know where to go. Greg does want your pity follows.
Whoa. I do not need nor want their pity follows.
Okay. I thought maybe after 300 and some odd episodes, you'd change your mind, but
No,
I guess not.
still don't want them. Nope.
Okay. Well, go to the socials. You know where to find us. Interact with us, and we love talking football. So do that with us, and we'll talk football. Let's get started. This is really awkward. Time for the opening kickoff. I've done 300.
It'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, this is my 308th episode. I've only missed one. You'd think I'd get better at this at some point. No. It's just not happening.
We peaked around episode 6 and have been kind of riding that high.
That was our Wayne Shaw episode?
Oh, that came way later, wasn't it? That was.
We have to dig back who was on episode 6. Might have been like Belton or Chunky or something like that.
Oh. It had Amy and Ferlin and no Greg, so we definitely peaked at that point.
Ow.
Wow, Greg just catching strays all over the place. I love it.
That's okay. He's about to get embarrassed and remember that guy today, so we're okay.
Oh no, whatever will I do?
Well, we'll talk about the CFL Combine. Of course, that was here in Regina this past weekend, and it was all right. It was fun. It was nice. It was nice getting out to, a field and seeing guys put on pads and just football. It was so nice to see football, which means we're 1 month away from the draft. We're 2 months away from preseason football. So we're getting there. The off season it's nearing its end. So I think that kind of added to it for me, was just knowing that, hey, on the field, there's all the coaches, there's all the GMs of every single team. We're going to be seeing some of these guys in the next, in training camp here in a couple months. This is going to be a fun year. So it was nice getting back on the field.
Not only did you have the sound of the pads, but they actually invited us into the press box. We got to go into the press box. It was
for the first time ever.
It was for
at
lunch.
Stadium.
It was for lunch, but yeah, we got.
Hey, beggars can't be choosers. We were in the press box.
Meanwhile, I've been in there several times for Thunder stuff, so I'm like, it's the press box. Okay, cool.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, I know, but
we've never asked. So,
well, yeah. But even speaking of the media guys, it was great talking football with Britton and Daryl and Rob and Shire and all those guys and the 3 down guys, because all of us were the same way. We were all we are through the bulk of winter. CFL seasons are around the corner, and even the even the really jaded press guys who've been doing it forever were back. Like you could feel they were ready for football again. And by no means am I calling Rob Vanstone jaded. That guy's just a giant kid, especially when it comes to the Riders.
I heard some words out of Rob's mouth I've never heard before, and I may never hear again. I was surprised when he was talking about the Denver Broncos. Oh my goodness. He got heated.
Goodness.
Oh,
I didn't know he did
at the
that.
Denver Broncos.
Yeah, it was nice seeing all the guys and the crew and the CFL people as well too. That was a lot of fun, and it was a pretty good turnout for fans. So that was nice to see some of the season ticket holders that were able to go with securing tickets through the Riders. So they opened that up, and of course, family was and close friends were invited for each player as well too. So it was a pretty good turnout there, and some guys definitely stood out, and we'll get to that in a second. What was your guys' favorite part of the Combine? Was there something that you guys really enjoyed?
Does lunch count?
Sure.
The catered lunch was absolutely delicious. No,
It was delicious.
If we're being serious, the obvious one is the one-on-ones. Everybody enjoys watching the D-line and O-line go at it, the receivers and the DBs. That's just fun seeing one-on-one, guy against guy, battling for their draft spot. And some guys really shined in that period, while others definitely lost a few spots on the draft board.
Yeah, the one-on-ones were definitely the time for the guys to shine because, yes, everyone looks at look at the 40 time on but everyone looks at the 40 time and the bench press. No one cares about how high you can jump. No one cares about your broad jump. The 3-cone shuttle, sure, we put up a very nice time on that one, but typically it's the 40 and the bench press that gets all the publicity. But it's the one-on-ones is where the guys really get to shine because it's man on man and you earn your spot. And you could tell there was guys there that knew they needed to advance their cause this weekend, and some of them definitely did, and other guys unfortunately fell.
And with that, who stood out to you guys?
I mean, there's the obvious ones that everybody got from the testing time. You had Jeremiah Ojo running, what was it, a 4.5?
4.49 for a defensive lineman. That's scary.
Yeah, he was fast, and he didn't look out of place in the one-on-ones either. To me, he was the big standard on D-line. The other guy was, of course, what's his name, Max von.
Yeah, he was the guy. I got to look up his name so I say it.
Yeah,
kind of
right,
properly.
Van Muldorfer.
Max von Muhldorfer from Western University.
Yeah, he was the
definitely
guy that
making it onto the all CFL name team if he gets drafted. That's a good one. But he stood out especially to me on the one-on-ones. He was a monster.
Oh, because he has that bull rush down. Like he was putting the offensive linemen on their backside.
He was one-arming them down.
Through them, just straight through them. Yeah. But he's also the weightlifter that was going nuts in the bench press. So yeah, this guy is but he's not muscular. He's like that farm boy, barrel-chested, tough, like big guy. Like he definitely impressed.
Well, and a guy like that, we talk about the Riders needing maybe a defensive lineman. Well, there you go. If you're looking to someone to maybe not this year be a starter, next year, if Micah Johnson is done after this year, one more kick at the can, you go Charbel DeBeer and you need another Canadian. Well, this could be the guy. And if you can rotate those two, flip the ratio, I mean, that's got to be a thought, at least for the Rough Rider brass, Jeremy O'Day and Corey Mace. Is that something that they want to do? And I'd be shocked if they haven't at least had conversations about that. Maybe not necessarily this exact player, but at least someone on the D line, on at least a tackle, right? So
one thing about him though, they were also running him as a fullback occasionally as well on Sunday, just kind of seeing if he could block and possibly get that short yardage stuff too. So you could tell some GMs have an idea where they see him fitting in the roster, else they never would have asked him to do that. I think a guy like that Ojo, if I'm if I'm Jo, I think I put him above Max, despite how impressive it was him like sunning guys nonstop. I think you got a better athlete right there, but I don't know. Who knows how early they're going to go DL? Seth Hunderby really impressed me actually.
Now this is
No,
a big linebacker too.
Yeah.
Spoke to him after the first day, and he's from the U of S, Saskatoon boy. He's like 260 pounds, so he's a bit of a bigger linebacker. But what struck me about him is just his character, like his willingness to, like he was easy to talk to. It wasn't scripted answers from him or anything. It wasn't just like, okay, well, another interview, got to do the same thing over and over again. He just seemed like he just loves the game of football, and it said he's willing to try punting. He'll do literally anything. I asked him what his biggest asset was, and he said, "I'm a Swiss Army knife. Put me at linebacker, put me at tight end, put me at blocking, put me on, I'll punt, put me on the D line. Let me rush the quarterback." This guy just wants to play football, and something like that. Like I think he did have a pretty solid few days. I didn't see the Sunday, I wasn't there, but he tested very, very well. He was in the top 3 or 5 for linebackers and everything, and he was in the top 5 for fifth for the 40-yard dash out of everybody.
4.7 40, and a 6.88 on the 3 cone.
It was the shuttle. Sorry,
6.88 3 cone. Like still, but for a 260-pound man, like that's pretty damn good.
My one issue with the combine is we didn't get a really good look at the other side of the ball, the receivers, the DBs, because they were always doing their one-on-ones, 50 yards, 60 yards downfield. Yeah. But I did want to give a positive shout out to, what was his name? Kasim Ferdinand at wide receiver. It seemed like anytime you saw a big catch made, it was him getting his mitts on the ball. He, to me, stood out from the receivers, from what limited we could see from our vantage point.
And of course, you have to talk about Dan Weeb with the Huskies as well too. He was just one of the big standouts for everybody at the Combine. This is going to be a good CFL player. The knock on him is he's only like 5'9", 5'10", so he's not a big receiver, but the guy can run routes. And honestly, give me a guy that can get open over just about anything when it comes to the CFL. Because if you can, Don Narcisse wasn't the fastest guy, but he ran fantastic routes and constantly got open. So if you give me,
I believe,
I'll take that all day long.
I believe there's a player known as a Weston Dressler that also sounds about right. We've had a very good camp too. Got to give out a shout out to my boy, my other boy, not Ferland, but Clausen from the Thunder, now Rams. You could tell the coaches were talking to him, and they liked his footwork, so hopefully that he advances his draft status. He's probably still late in the draft if he goes, but he definitely was working hard and showing what he could do.
And guys that we talked to, these are guys that also stood out, had the Saskatchewan ties. So threw a couple articles up already about Seth Hunderby, we mentioned already. Jackson Finley, the defensive back out of Western. Now he's a BC boy, but has great ties to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So his dad,
he's on Mace's list.
Right?
He's on Mace's list.
His dad played for the Riders. His uncle is Brooks Finley, who played for the Riders in the 90s. And of course, everybody knows the story about how Brooks Finley, kind of got Corey Mace into being a football fan when he was a young kid. So, but this Jackson's looking to become a 4th generation CFLer because his great grandpa, his grandpa, his dad, his uncle all made the CFL and played in their careers. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. But this guy's also the OUA Defensive Player of the Year. So he's going to get there based on his own merit. And after talking to him, what strikes me is this guy wants to be a pediatric oncologist. Like, just in general, how can you not root for a guy like that? Like that, it takes a special person to want to do something like that, because that is not easy.
No.
To deal with children's cancer, and for a young man to want to do that. And I mean, you have to root for the kids. So Do the Riders need another defensive back? Probably not, but I mean, that we're always talking about a safety. Well, this could be the safety of the future. Other guys we talked to that kind of stood out as well too, maybe for his name more than anything, had a solid combine. Chopper Hippie from the U of R has one more year.
Edmonton Wildcat.
Yeah, has one more year of eligibility, I believe.
Yep. Yes,
So he could be one of those late round picks that you bring into camp this year. He goes back to school, and then you have him for next year. So give him a little bit extra time with the big club and see what happens. So he was a fun young man. Greg, you mentioned Connor Clausen. And then you guys on Sunday talked to Ethan Vibert. Of course, he's an offensive lineman from Regina, plays at South Dakota State. I haven't listened to the interview, so you guys got to tell me, was he a good one?
Very soft spoken, actually, for a man that big and looks like he's 40. Because I was joking with Britton, he's got Arn Anderson disease. He looks 40 and he's going to look 40 his entire life. But yeah, no, he's very soft. We actually
giving them spine busters, man. I'm all for it.
Yeah, put this spine on the pine. But actually, we Rob Vanstone, he joined us in our interview. So Rob asked some questions. We got to ask some questions. So very soft spoken, but very well spoken. Like for a man that big, he has a very soft voice. It's like kind of like Micah Johnson. You're just kind of leaning in, like, what are you saying? But,
and the thing I loved about him from his interview was the first question I believe Rob Vanstone asked was, "What are you doing between now and the draft?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm going to go finish my master's." Kid's already got a master, or the finishing up of a master's degree before he's even drafted into football. Shows you that he's got that education and that work ethic to get through both and to be successful on and off the field. He's going to be a good player for somebody out of the draft.
And then you guys also talked to one of the receivers, Tommy Wilson. Now he's actually English. He's from Oxford, England, played for the Germany Football League for the Potsdam Royals. This is a guy who will likely be drafted in the global draft.
Yeah, he's signed up for the global or set up for the global draft. Had a lot because we asked him like, how long, like when did you get here? What was your journey here? He's been in the country for 5 weeks already, just preparing for this for the combine. And then it's like, oh, what are you gonna do now between now and then? And he's like, oh, I'll be going back to work. And he works construction in the off season, so he's going back to England working on construction until the draft day.
Wow.
So, like, awesome guy, loves football. Came over from rugby, like most of those Brits do, and he's fast. Like I wouldn't be shocked if he gets drafted because any ball that came near him that we could tell, like I said, we were from a far vantage point, he caught. But what was it? 4.2 laser test in Germany.
4.27, yeah.
Yeah, and then like 4.6 hand time here. So don't know if the Canadian grass is just a little thicker than the Italian grass, but regardless, the guy's got 4 speed, like 4.5 speed. So I think he could be pretty good.
And with him, the thing that stood out was he had only been in football for 2-3 years. I think he said he picked it up in 2022. He immediately jumped into the game and he turned into a touchdown machine in both Germany and England in football. He's averaging over a touchdown a game in his pro career at this point before whatever happens in the CFL. But again, to immediately make that move, take 6 weeks off of work to, in his words, chase his dream. And he talked nothing but positivity because we asked him, what did you hear about the CFL? Were they always on your radar? And he said, well, I want to play football at the highest level. And the CFL is pretty damn near the top of the highest level of football. So he had glowing comments about the league, that drive to come here 6 weeks early to prepare. He's gonna do big things. And he was, again, that very well-spoken, easy to talk to guy. Like we could have probably talked to him for an hour and he would have sat there and done it. He was just that kind of dude. So I hope to see him in the league for sure.
All right. Well, anybody stand out as someone you guys really think the Riders should go after?
I stand by Jackson Finley's up there for me. I think Ojo, if they're going defensive line, definitely. If you want to steal on the global draft, Tommy Wilson, definitely. Because the other global guys were also wide receivers, but they didn't really stand out. So, and we don't need to draft another 3 Aussie punters. We just don't.
For me, the big ones that stood out, I know we're going to look at a Canadian receiver again. Ferdinand was the one Canadian guy that really stood out to me. Vibert seemed to be making plays. Maybe it's because of his veteran look. He does look 40. Like, Greg's not wrong. He does look like a seasoned veteran already. But to me, he really stood out as on the offensive line, with the exception of when he got absolutely bull rushed by, I believe it was Max von. I've already forgotten how to pronounce his name.
By Max.
Von Muhldorfer.
Von Muhldorfer, yeah. But overall, to me, those were some of the guys that stood out overall.
Now, we had this brief discussion when we were watching the Combine, and I think it was during one of the stretch periods when defense was lined up on one side, offense on the other side, and they were just kind of doing leg stretches or whatever and getting a little bit closer. What events should be in the CFL Combine? And I suggested that kind of looked like it was Red Rover. What the hell? Bring Red Rover back. We call Vibert over. And if you can stop him, your draft stock goes straight up. Like, I think that'd be fun to watch.
Imagine him running through a gap between a couple of wide receivers as a 300-pound offensive lineman.
Yeah. Oh, so we're basically Squid Gaming the CFL Combine?
Yeah, pretty much.
Red light, green light would be funny. Watching those guys trying to stop and not move.
That'd be fun.
You could easily replace the vertical jump with tetherball. To me, you get that. Is that the game with the ball at the right? Yeah, get that high reach and make it a little.
The ball
higher,
that's literally tethered to a pole is called tetherball.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, great! Yeah.
I want to see some conditioning. So I want to, and this is Greg will know the Mitch Hedberg joke. I want to see them play tennis against a wall. Because you'll never be as good as you are at tennis. You'll never be as good as a wall. Put them up there. Just make them chase around a tennis ball and try to hit it back against the wall. And let's get that conditioning going.
You could easily replace one of those cone drills with a game of Duck, Duck, Goose.
The big guys scrambling to get off the ground. The Jays actually put on their social media yesterday, the guys doing the drop reaction test. I'd like to see some of the reactions on those guys.
Actually, in all seriousness, something for like the hand-eye like that. That's actually, they do a lot of that, and hockey does it too. I know football players in the NFL, they'll do stuff like that. I think they'll drop a pencil or something, and they got to try and catch it between their hands or whatever. But that's actually really important. So, I mean, that could be a legitimate thing that should happen.
Like, have you seen the F1 guys do the light hand-eye coordination test? Like,
that's crazy.
That's nuts. Like, bring some of that in. Like, I understand that the CFL / NFL, like all these pro days and workouts are all the same drill. And we've said it several times. No one cares. Even the teams don't care. The teams really don't care.
Well, they've already they've already done the homework on the player. They've seen what the guy can do on the field. This is more for, get to know the person.
Yeah. So this is it's entertainment. So entertain the fans.
I wish the interviews would be broadcast. Could you imagine how much more pressure there would be going into an interview and have that broadcast out to the CFL fandom, especially with some of the stories we've heard?
Knowing what kind of questions that GMs and coaches ask players, that should not be streamed.
I meant to go back. I saw today that this league released a Joe's conversation with Chris Jones last year. I meant to go back to watch that. Now that just
Ooh.
reminded me. So
After we're done, I got to watch that.
after done, I'm going to that, and I'll shoot you. I'm like, wait, did they? I'm like, that's going to be interesting.
Literally
And then
anybody with Chris Jones, sign me up.
Yeah. So
All right. Well, Combine, it was fun. It was nice to get out there and see some of the future stars of the CFL. And I mean, where they're going to land, who knows? We'll find out next month. But
I still miss CFL week. Like,
they got to do something with this. Like it has to be a thing. I get it, the pandemic, and then a couple of years following, they don't want to spend money and everything was tight. But like, you have owners with money now. Like, it has to be a thing. You have to market this whole, like, everything. Get some players there, and like, you got to make it happen.
Like, they don't have to do the full blown festival. I understand that it costs a ton of money, but you could do like little things, like bring a few players in, have some media time with them. Like, you already got most of the media in town anyway, so why not do something with it? Get some stories with it. Bring some of the top 50. It doesn't have to be all of them. Have some events, something that will, like, some charity gala, whatever.
Yeah.
But just get the league out there. And I was talking to some of the reporters and people there. Like, the CFL week was good for even just creating content to shelve, like we did. Like, we had interviews all year.
Yeah.
When we needed them. Because
2 players per team. That's it. That's all you need.
Yep.
Just someone to room with. That's it. Have them at a couple events. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Only 3 days. You don't need to have them there for a full week or anything. Have one day for media in the afternoon where they do their one-on-ones and go around the media car wash and whatever. And then let them roam free and be at events where fans are there, right?
sign some autographs and
Yeah.
move on. Like,
sounds so simple.
are we going to go on another marketing rant?
No,
We
not
might.
this time. We'll save that for, I don't know, maybe next week when we don't have anything else planned. But yeah, I agree. They got to do something. They got to make this bigger than it is. And again, just to come full circle on the whole marketing thing, just everything the league does has to be the biggest thing the league does.
Yep.
So just get people out there. That's it. Just get that interest going. As for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, absolutely no news over the last week, no signings. But there is, in addition to the radio broadcasts on 620 CKRM. So you have Voice of the Riders, Dave Thomas, Luke Mullender is going to be back as color analyst. Wes Cates will be there as well. And Justin Dunk, of course, for post game shows. They're adding in Tegan Whitco from The Wolf. People would probably know her from The Wolf, or a couple of years ago in Moose Jaw. She did radio in Moose Jaw. She's going to be the
She
new
was also
sideline.
she was also the Pats in-game host as well this year.
Yes. So she's going to be the new sideline reporter for game days and also doing pre and post game shows as well. So me being in radio for 10 years, I knew about her a few years ago, and I listened to her on The Wolf when she was on there in the afternoon, and she was always entertaining. So I think it's going to be a good addition to the broadcast. She was actually already at CFL week, the Combine with Dave Thomas, doing interviews and everything. So she's already putting in the work. So
I think it's a good move. I like Dunk, but Dunk is not a host. He definitely needs someone to be the point guard, and she'll do that.
She's suited for being an analyst.
Yeah. So I think having her as the driver, passing off to Dunk and Wes, is going to make for a way smoother show. And even on the pregame, it's going to be a lot smoother with her steering the ship. So, no, I think it's a good move, and I can't wait to see what this brings.
And that's it for Rider News from this past week. So that's the opening kickoff presented by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Regina Realty. Greg's been waiting for this all day long. It's time for Remember That Guy, sponsored by District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience. And you already threw out on social media that you thought deep about this one.
I did. And I also got to take a victory lap for those that aren't aware. Rob Vanstone plays at home. And he apparently was behind on the episode. So when we were live and in person, I got to do it live to him and stumped him. He hung his head in shame. And yeah.
So is that the end of the segment?
And then he went home that night and fixed his records because he did not have a Bowman at UNC even for that 2 seasons.
I hope you feel good about yourself, Greg.
I do.
Good.
We know he does.
I do. So I've got 6 questions. Technically,
Okay.
6 hints. Technically, I have 8, but the 7 and 8 are obvious and they don't count. So Steve can't claim he won after he doesn't get it after 6.
Hey, I won last week. Y'all can bite me.
All right. Number 1, played for the U of S Huskies. Was the BCFC Defensive Player of the Year. Drafted by the BC Lions in the 2nd round. Scored 114 points with the U of M Bisons on their way to a Vanier Cup berth. Won a Grey Cup with the Riders. And has played for 6 CFL teams with 10 different contracts.
With 10 different contracts. Wow. It's not coming to me, pardon me, right off the bat.
Okay.
When you said 6 franchises with 10 franchises or 10 contracts,
10.
I would have said Sean Lemon, but I think he's at 8.
Yeah. He's like at 11, but
It's twice a Rider though, so not just once.
Yeah. So is this guy technically. I didn't say how many times this guy was with the Riders.
Okay.
Current head coach of the Prince. So we're on 7 now. So you guys are in bonus time. Current head coach of the Prince George Kodiaks of the BCFC.
Oh,
Because I follow that.
I remember when that was announced. Oh my God.
Is that recent?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he's the current head coach.
Yeah. It's recent.
So he only
he's been
for like 10 years.
No, Prince George joined the league like 2 years ago.
Shows how much I know about that league.
Okay, and returners better keep their heads up.
No.
Right? Like it's on the tip of the tongue.
I'm
Returners
just enjoying a delicious drink while you guys think about this.
Returners got to keep their heads up. That was wasn't that was an offensive lineman, wasn't it? That clothesline dude?
Oh.
Nope.
No. Okay.
No.
The 114
God.
points with U of M Bison should be a huge hint of
I
what
know.
kind of player he was.
Not Eddie Johnson.
And when you talk college stuff, I just don't know. Like 4 of your hints are college, and I don't pay attention to college football at all.
Oh. Punter.
Yep. The hardest
Jamie
hitting
Borum.
kicker in the league. There you go.
Yeah, Jamie Borum. I'm like, not Eddie Johnson. Yeah.
That guy had a sweet mustache.
Oh, that thing
He
was
did have a good
beautiful.
mustache. The hardest hitting kicker in the league. Also, I wanted to bring up, he's been one of the few players that has been recognized as an All-Canadian at 3 different positions: free safety, kicker, and punter. He played 3 ways in the BCFC and in U Sports. Dude was an
Jamie
athlete.
Borum, a man who has signed Steve's chest.
Yep.
Grey
Can
Cup
confirm.
2009 in Calgary.
09 Grey Cup. Yep.
I'll never forget that. Yep.
Oh.
And you'll never remember it.
No, I don't think Churchill was a thing yet, but there was a lot of Churchill-like beverages consumed that night.
He played for 3 U Sports teams: BC, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba.
Huh.
And played in the BCFC. Like he had like a football career before he had a football career.
Yeah, I had
Which
no
is
idea.
why
he
half
played
his
for the
stats were college-based.
And I had no idea he played for the Huskies.
Yeah, that was his second college team. He went to UBC Thunderbirds. Then he went back to the CGFL. Then he tore his ACL. Won Defensive Player of the Year after tore his ACL. Came back 3 games later. Won the BCFC Defensive Player of the Year.
Jeez.
Then joined the Huskies after playing soccer as well. Sorry, I should mention. In 99, and then he played with the Huskies for 99. Then he went back to this BCFC, and then he was drafted in 2001, sorry, by BC in the second round.
Jamie Borum. Good one.
But that explains why he was such a
Absolute
heavy
legend.
hitter. He was a free safety, and
Who was
That makes a lot of sense.
It was one of the BC Lions that he flipped over, wasn't it?
I
One of the
tried.
hits-
It was number 13. I was trying to get the name on the guy, and I was looking it up today, and I couldn't figure out who it was.
Because I think that
Okay,
happened.
that guy's still trying to get the name on the truck that hit him too. So
Because he had long hair covering his nameplate when I was looking up the video today, and I couldn't figure out who it was. But yeah, he sent that guy flying. That's what I mean. Like, they needed to keep their heads up. He was also very good at the recovering his own punts.
Well, he put that backspin on it.
Yeah.
The bounce, right? Okay.
Yeah, Jamie Borum.
it was a good one.
Jamie Borum on Remember That Guy. Wow. And you had me after the first week of Rocky Butler. I'm like, this is going to be easy.
Yeah,
Nope.
no, you got it too quick. So I'm like, okay, well, time to make it harder.
You got to cut the college stats out. That's not going to help us at all.
Okay, I will do more CFL stuff, but the college stuff for him was way more interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's way more fun.
Really was.
Yeah. Like, how many times can I say it was in BC, then he was in Winnipeg, then he was in Winnipeg, then he was in Hamilton, then he was in Saskatchewan.
See, and what's funny is I don't remember any of his career outside of Regina.
I remember Hamilton.
Oh, yep. But
After
like, I
he
can't
left here,
picture him in any of those jerseys. I forgot the 6 teams question by the time I figured out it was a punter.
like
I don't remember him.
after he left here, he went to the Argos and then Edmonton, and then he was back here after Sakota got. Was it Sakota who got or punter got hurt?
Louis
2011.
Sakota.
Yeah. And then he was back in 2012 because Milo got hurt. Like, he was on speed dial there for a while.
It's because he could play 5 different positions.
Yeah, Louis Sakota. I forgot about Louis Sakota until I looked up Jimmy Borum. I'm like, oh yeah, Louis Sakota's an actual guy.
Yeah, it was. All right. Well, I guess Steve will have to be better next week.
Hey, I helped you along with that one.
I did eventually get the name, but
After I told you it was the punter whose name I couldn't remember.
yes. But we all
Like,
remember that guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's jump to the Churchill Brewing Company odds and end zones. I've been waiting to. We'll do the Kerry Joseph thing. Kerry Joseph, of course, everybody knows who that is. He needs no introduction. Joined Steve Sarkisian's Texas Longhorns coaching staff.
Rider QBs Unite.
Right? Like Steve Sarkisian could be in Remember That Guy, and I would not remember
he
that
will
guy. Probably.
Oh, he's on the list. He's somewhere on the list.
He's on the short list.
Which is really funny because he's probably the most famous
Former Rider
Saskatchewan
quarterback.
Rough Rider legend if you're asking Americans.
Yeah.
They would all know him. His college career is legendary, or his college coaching career anyways.
Yeah. But Kerry Joseph going there. He was the quarterback coach for the Chicago Bears last year. So Kerry Joseph going to the Texas Longhorns, and that's one hell of a football program down in the States. So good for Kerry Joseph continuing his coaching career.
I just realized they're gonna have Steve Sarkisian, Kerry Joseph, and Vince Young's gonna be there all the time too. We've got a Rider quarterback triumvirate.
Mount Rushmore of Rider quarterbacks right there in Texas.
We need another Texas-based Rider quarterback to make all 4.
I'm sure we can find one. Where's JT O'Sullivan from?
Oh, by the way, JT O'Sullivan is also on the list somewhere, but I can't keep on just doing quarterbacks.
I forgot to mention Dennis Guile this week. Damn.
JT O'Sullivan is from Burbank, California.
And the final hint on that one is he should own an Irish pub. That's all we need.
No, the one thing across the CFL circles that made rounds this past week was the general manager of the Edmonton Elks, Ed Hervey.
Don't change, Ed. Never change.
When
Never
asked about just clarification about not talking to Geno Lewis, basically said there are no superstars in the CFL. I have thoughts on this.
1 second before we get there. Then he tried to clean it up and made it worse by saying, well, in his day, the only real superstars are guys like Michael Jordan and Muhammad Ali because they transcended sports. And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I ever heard, Ed.
I get that sentiment. Oh, sorry. I'll let you guys because I actually kind of agree with Ed Hervey on this.
No. I kind of like, were those guys superstars? Of course they were, but that's like saying that means the NFL has never had a superstar. That means like saying hockey's never had a superstar. Or if you're only going to have a superstar, they have to be the very best of all time in their generation, which is not how superstars used. I understand that's what the definition is, but that's not how it's used.
I do disagree with his with going with only Michael Jordan and Muhammad Ali, like just to go with the guys that transcend sports. No, I disagree with that completely.
Those aren't superstars. Those are legends. There's a big difference between the two. Icons, another great word. A superstar to me is somebody who shines and grows the sport. And for you to sit here and tell me that the CFL doesn't have people that do that, he didn't have the greatest performance off the field last year, but look what Nathan Rourke did just by coming back to the CFL after what he did down south. He was able to grow the game because people remember him from his preseason in, was it New England? Like, to say there's no superstars, imagine being in the Edmonton locker room now, or being one of those high-priced free agents that Ed Hervey went after because they were ticket-selling stars of the game. And how do they feel right now? I mean, they're very obviously silent right now while the rest of the league is absolutely trashing the Elks management. But if I'm one of those guys, I'm biting at the, or what do you call it? I'm biting at the bit, or chomping at the bit.
Chomping at the bit.
Yeah, biting at the bit. Yeah, I'm chomping at the bit to say something. That's just ludicrous to put those words out there. And the CFLPA was right to come out and, give them the proverbial written middle finger.
Now, here's where I'm at with this. So I agree in a sense, not completely agree with Ed Hervey, but I do agree that I wouldn't say no superstars in the CFL. I think there's few superstars in the CFL, but it's not because of what their ability is. It's because of the marketing around it. Outside of maybe Nathan Rourke now, and maybe to a lesser extent, Bo Levi Mitchell, nobody's getting that huge marketing push where they're everywhere. And in a sense, he's right that when they walk in, outside of a Rider player walk into a grocery store, everyone's going to know who he is there, right? Nathan Rourke can go shopping and nobody knows who he is. CFL players right now can go out, live their daily lives. People aren't going to stop them. You're going to have the hardcores that might stop them, but just casual fans have no idea who they are. Casual fans of the NFL, they know who Patrick Mahomes is, or Travis Kelce because of Taylor Swift. Okay, those guys are superstars in the NFL, but it's all about the marketing. If the CFL were to actually put some sort of marketing plan in place for their players, Ed Hervey wouldn't be saying this, because he'd probably have 4 superstars on his team. Tyrell Ford, even Trey Ford. Those guys for Edmonton, with what they're going to be doing, those guys are the superstars. But I do agree, maybe, like, honestly, outside of Rourke, Bo Levi Mitchell, there might be a couple other I think of. Maybe
Brady,
Brady Oliveira for sure. Yep, add him in there.
But then again, if you take
years ago, it would have been Willie Jefferson and Adam Bighill.
But if you take Brady out of Winnipeg, would someone in Edmonton, just a random guy walking by, know who Brady is?
Probably not.
Well, look what we had to do last year with those lawn signs just to get more of Roland Milligan's name out there. That's something that the league should have been absolutely bombarding the CFL fandom with, is a defensive player that's potentially up for most outstanding player of the year. Like that's the kind of thing that they should be shouting from the rooftops, and you barely heard anything about it. I do agree that the league has a marketing issue in that regard. We've harped on it from the team and the league for, wow, this is our 10th season doing this. So 10 years, we all know it. I just have issues with a GM of a football team coming out and using those words after spending an absurd amount of money in free agency. You're not signing those guys if they're not selling tickets or winning you football games.
I think the biggest sin Ed Hervey did is he's a former player that was a very good player in this league.
Very good.
That many people would have considered a superstar. And for him to go, there's none in this league. Okay, I don't know if that's a generational thing or if he actually legit believes that there's no player in this league that could hold a candle to him when he played. I don't know. But the fact remains is, say you messed up and move on. The fact that he tried to double down and try to you don't see any Jordans here. You don't see any Muhammad Ali's. I'm like, well, no, of course we don't. But that's beside the point. Like, add to sell your league. Add to tell everyone in your locker room that you guys are lucky I'm paying you. Like, it just seemed so short-sighted. But then again, the fact that he didn't talk to Gino at all that's fine. I still don't understand that. Just tell the guy you're not signing him then.
I'll never understand that from general managers. Just make the phone call to the agent and say, you know what, you can tell your client, thank you for what you've done for us. We're going in a different direction, whether it's money, whether it's going younger, whatever the case is. Just make that 30-second call and just get it out of the way. Because then you don't have this stupid drama that goes on.
Yeah. One phone call would have saved it. Well, it wouldn't have saved everything. I have a feeling, regardless, Gino probably would have made some huff about how Edmonton didn't want him anymore. But that's fine. But it's better than him coming out saying, I don't know, he didn't even talk to me. I have no idea. To which you have a fan base obviously suffering right now. And one of the few bright spots on their roster, and you just go, we don't want him.
Well, and just PR-wise, fans will typically side with the player.
Yeah.
So everyone at Edmonton is up in a tizzy because, hey, our guy was like, how could you do that? Well, very easily, actually. We don't want to pay him $300K. But just make that phone call and say that. And players now, they fully understand that it's a business. And they get the business decisions. Just tell them. Just have the balls to tell them. But I do agree, though. Just don't say anything like that. That's so stupid. And very on brand for Ed Hervey.
I was going to say, on the flip side, please continue putting a microphone in front of Ed Hervey as often as possible this year. You want marketing, he'll give you things to talk about. On a weekly basis. Not all of it.
That Ed Hervey Cavus Reed combo was so good for quotes. And not good ones. Usually not good ones.
No. But let that be a lesson to all the other 8 teams out there, and even Edmonton as well, to market your players. Just get them out there. Make them superstars. They don't have to be the best player. You don't have to have your, for the Riders, it doesn't have to be Samuel Emelis. Obviously, it helps, right? If it's one of your best players that's super marketable and that everybody loves. But just thinking a few years ago, Rob Bagg. I'd consider him probably a Rider superstar. Didn't put up the huge stats, was never the number one receiver. but he had a bag of chips,
Him and his biceps.
right?
The biceps were a separate on their own superstar.
Oh, they were their own superstar?
There was
but-
Rob Bagg and Rob Bagg's biceps.
But this is a guy that's, and especially with what your market is, Saskatchewan, right? Kind of that blue collar type place that just put your head down and work and just do whatever's asked of you. And that's why he resonated with fans. That's why people loved him. You throw him in a commercial or something, all of a sudden you take him to this next level, right?
And here's the thing, though. I understand we came out of pandemic and budgets are tighter and blah, 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 blah. Fine. We're 5 years past that. The fact remains is the salary management system, not salary cap, is going up this year. And it shockingly went up. They are now doing revenue sharing. There is money to go around to every team to help promote the players and this league. Use it. Because the more popular your players are, the more money you will make. Like, invest in it.
Why do you think the NFL has so many superstars that everybody knows? Marketing. Why do you think the NFL makes billions upon billions of dollars every year? Marketing. They figured it out. They figured it out in like the late 80s, early 90s. When the salaries
It's okay, Alex. The CFL put out a picture of Connor Bedard in a BC Lions hat. They've got marketing figured out.
Now, how do you keep that? How do you get people that are obviously BC hockey fans that are following Connor Bedard? How do you get them now to a BC Lions game?
They didn't think that far ahead.
Maybe
it'd
that's
be
the challenge, right? Like,
Be
okay,
fun for
cool.
them to do he's got pictures of him in a Rider jersey and Rider hats. Pictures now of him in a BC Lions hat.
The traveling
Do a
Bedards.
who wore it better.
There you go.
Make it a competition. If you're going to use the picture, have some fun with it. I mean, we know what Saskatchewan does with online polls, so we know how it would go. But that's their idea to marketing is stars from other leagues. In the middle of the combine when they're talking about all their future stars.
I got two examples of them blowing stuff wildly. During the Grey Cup Festival, Chelsea Green, the current U.S. Women's Champion in WWE, huge star right now. She is everywhere on social media. She's doing all the Netflix commercials. She's doing everything.
Canadian.
They had her as one of the marshals of the Grey Cup walking parade. I only knew about it because of her social media. CFL never mentioned her at all. And then this past weekend, they dropped the festival for the festival for Winnipeg and going, oh, there you guys go. I'm like, that kind of came out of nowhere. Like, no real buildup.
And again, on a week where they already have plenty of news in the middle of the off season where there are gaps in when information is coming out. Why share that festival page when you've already got the eyeballs, or as many as you can get with the combine anyways?
When a lot of the Winnipeg reporters were still in Regina or traveling home when they had the thing. Like,
there was some really good quotes I'd love to nitpick. I don't have them in front of me, but from that Winnipeg announcement of the Grey Cup Festival and all that kind of stuff, about how they were so I forget the word. It wasn't unlucky, but it was something like that they didn't win the Grey Cup. Yeah, it was unlucky that you guys got your asses absolutely handed to you.
it was unlucky that O'Shea rolled out Zach Claros with missing a finger.
Yeah.
Yeah, unlucky.
Unlucky that you guys stopped running the ball and didn't give the ball to your best player when your quarterback was hurt.
Then again, if they're talking about it was unlucky that Lucky Whitehead couldn't catch a kick, yeah, then yes, I guess that is unlucky that Lucky couldn't do that. Yeah, so. Well, they're now unlucky because he's no longer on the team. So,
did he retire this offseason?
He did.
Yeah,
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't going to get signed again anyway. Not by Winnipeg. They unluckied themselves.
Winnipeg sucks. And we'll
And
leave it.
there's your closing message.
And there we go. Piffles Podcast, brought to you by our great friends at Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sass Drive in Regina. Special thanks, of course, to Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Regina Realty, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's Tactical Laser Tag Experience, and Bigfoot Vodka for their support making this show possible. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcasts, watching on SaskTel Max, TV on demand, watching on YouTube. We'll leave you with Tyler Gilbert and Ghost Behind Your Mind.
Thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.